Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I think one thing that's not talked about enough is that in everything you've seen in crypto, you have not seen the real bull run yet. You haven't seen the utility bull run and how that is going to look for XRP price. All you've seen is speculation. That's all you've seen to this point. I believe with the regulations and all the things happening this year, that is going to change. And when it does, I think it's going to change lives. Today in the group at daixrp.com through the Patreon, or click join here to join through the YouTube, we're going to talk about that utility run and what it's going to look like, in my opinion, for XRP price. That is what we're going to talk about today. So, and before we get going, I'm going to remind you, go to xrpwealth589.com. That will forward you to my Caleb and Brown link so that you, like I'm doing, can get institutional grade custody for your retail account. You get a broker to talk to. You get the broker's email address. You can call them. You can call them and tell them you want to place orders. And I mean, it's the no-brainer of no-brainers. So go to xrpwealth589.com to go to that. Then we're still just a few short days out from XRP Las Vegas, blowing the records out of the charts. I mean, and go to xrplasvegas.com to get your tickets. You might want to go to Bitcoin Las Vegas too while you're there. It's going to be there for 3 days before XRP Las Vegas. All right, we're not going to waste any time with this. Look at this. Trump on the economy. He tweeted this out. This is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. I didn't take over until January 20th. Tariffs will soon start kicking in, and companies are starting to move into the U.S. in record numbers. Our country will boom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. This will take a while. Has nothing to do with tariffs, only that he left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it will be like no other. Be patient. I think we're going to see that boom in the second part of this year at the worst. Here's one example of what he's talking about. This is Ford CEO.
We're building a new plant in Ohio and Tennessee. We're number 2 to Tesla on electric. We're number 3 to hybrid to both the Japanese competitors. We're investing across these different kinds of powertrains. We're kind of the only one who offers all of it. You can get electric F-150, a hybrid F-150, a V8 F-150, EcoBoost F-150, and we don't really care. We just want people to have the choice. So we're building 2 brand new factories in the U.S., and we're the most American already. As far as parts are concerned, that's a good question. Now, we have a lot more work to do to, can we even do this, that 15 or 20%? And that's what we have to work through. Look, we're expecting our competitors to do what Ford's already done, which is to localize more production.
Exactly. And when that happens, that's going to be a part of the American economic boom. Nobody thought there wouldn't be some pain to get where we need to get to put this country on the right track. This is Subjective View says XRP is deliberately being kept in the shadows, but we are steadfast. Everything must eventually come to light. This is the former CFTC chairman and Patrick McHenry from Congress. He's no longer with Congress.
Just a thought. One, it makes me think about, the collective public has been consumed by the speculative nature of digital assets, right? And for good reason. It catches attention. There's been some great falls over the past couple of years, but as Patrick suggested and alluded to, there is an underlying technology that is essentially driving this ecosystem, this token ecosystem, which then leads to the trading of the asset. So there's a lot of interesting, I did not focus on those particular issues when I was chair of the CFTC. That was not the remit of the agency or my job, but there is something that sort of it is kept in the shadows, I think, by virtue of the louder noise, speculative nature of the tokens seems to have and manifest. And I think that's going to be interesting to see evolve, because it is very early days for that technology. And it is going to continue to prod on, and rules of the road, I think, will facilitate growth and where it goes. And it can be very disruptive, both on the beneficial side, but on the risk side to traditional finance and the rails and the plumbing that really drive our financial system. The second part, very quickly, is where does this fit, a decentralized financial system, fit within the current regulatory system itself? Because we are not accustomed to that. We are accustomed to a very centralized financial system where you have very clear intermediaries and exchanges and custodians and clearinghouses all along this sort of value chain of the financial plumbing system. And I think this is going to be another very tricky question, one that I've thought about, Patrick and I have talked a lot about, is where and how do you strike the right balance between understanding and appreciating the unique characteristics of a decentralized system and why it's unique from a centralized system, and why it doesn't necessarily necessitate the same regulatory vigor or requirements, but on the other hand, certainly cannot live in a regulatory vacuum, right? And I think there are some participants in that space who believe that is and should be the case. But I would say, exhaustively, it sounds like Patrick agrees, and I hope Congress and the regulators will follow suit, is that regardless of the decentralized nature of any new or 2.0 that might come down the road, there has to be some very clear, important intersections with the regulatory system. The on-off ramp, AML, KYC, BSA is critical, but there are also other components from a market standpoint in order to truly protect customers that have to be implemented in a decentralized world.
Interesting thoughts there. Look at this from Jack McDonald at Ripple. The March monthly independent attestation for RLUSD is live. RLUSD is available to new exchanges, including Kraken. We've integrated RLUSD and Ripple payments for select customers. Announced the acquisition of Hidden Road, which will use RLUSD for collateral for its clients, creating a critical bridge between crypto and traditional finance. RLUSD is being used as DeFi liquidity pools such as Aave and Curve Finance. As always, you can find the reports here. Then we have this. This is a great tweet from Uphold. By 2030, stablecoin issuers could hold more U.S. debt than Japan or China. Decentralized finance, centralized collateral. The future of money is getting very real. This is why I keep telling you folks, I told you a long time ago, I was told XRP was created to prevent World War III and to replace the petrodollar. And if you look at this, it's very clear that crypto was created to protect the U.S. dollar. There's more. It says stablecoin issuers could be one of the largest holders of U.S. Treasuries by 2030. Look at this. I mean, this is right now it's 120, and they're projecting that it will dwarf China and Japan in Treasury holdings. I'm telling you, that was the plan. I said crypto is created to save the U.S. dollar. Make no mistake, this was not created by some libertarians, folks. The biggest bull run in history is coming. We've officially entered the final phase. Bitcoin bull run cheat sheet doesn't lie. This is where the legends are made. Get ready for life-changing gains. I agree. Anybody remember this Elon Musk clip?
The SEC has been towards crypto under this administration. Do you envision the XRP ledger being incorporated into the financial institutions in the future?
Well, I certainly cannot speak to any specific crypto, but
I know you can't.
I do think that the sort of
he's been able to speak about Bitcoin, and he's been able to speak about Dogecoin. Why can't he speak about XRP?
Cryptocurrency is an interesting and probably valuable bulwark against a centralized control. So, this is definitely not an endorsement or lack of endorsement for XRP, but I do think crypto.
But he can endorse Bitcoin and Dogecoin. Why is that?
By its very nature, it helps with individual freedom.
The writing's on the wall. I don't know if I can play that out here because it's got some music. That's John Deaton. He says, I just don't see how you can't be bullish on several of these big tokens like XRP and Bitcoin. He's right. Mike Novogratz excited to share that Galaxy plans to list on the NASDAQ on May 16th, pending shareholder approval on May 9th. We believe this listing will position Galaxy to better serve investors across it. So these guys had left the U.S. under Gary Gensler. They are back. Crypto Representative Bo Hines tells CoinDesk industry's long-awaited U.S. rules are on track for this summer, with lawmakers hashing out a strategy this week. It's coming, folks. Look from Smoke, who's always on fire. Remember, institutions are expected to play a larger role in maturing crypto market going forward. Let me translate, folks. It's utility. It's never been about all the speculation. This was all a test. The real show is about to start. And I am glad I've held through all of this, because I think the payoff, well, I'm going to show you in the group. I think the numbers I'm going to show you in the group will blow your mind about XRP and utility. Bitcoin-backed loans are now fully rolled out to all U.S. users. You can instantly borrow up to $1 million in USDC on Coinbase. So my understanding is you can borrow against your Bitcoin. And if you think this will stop at Bitcoin, think again. You're going to be able to borrow against your XRP or earn interest on it, or both. It's going to happen. Here's an interesting comment from, this is all part of the PSYOP, by the way. This is from Michael Sonnenson. He's now chief operating officer at Securitize, but he was at Grayscale. Remember, they're the ones who started the Drop Gold campaign back a few years ago.
I vividly remember being at one of the early, I've been to pretty much, I think, every single consensus event that CoinDesk has thrown, but I vividly remember being at one of the early consensus events, and we did a marketing campaign at Grayscale where we actually entered into a purchase and sale agreement to have a physical bar of gold, an actual gold bullion bar at our booth at Consensus. And we had armed guards there and all this other stuff. And we were really showing tangibly what $1 million of Bitcoin looked like, sitting on a USB drive, versus how ridiculous $1 million of gold looked, and really hitting investors over the head with a tangible experience of like, value can be stored in all different kinds of ways. And certainly Bitcoin would have properties that would outshine gold and make its utility, faster, cheaper, more portable, more divisible, et cetera. And so I just vividly remember that as just like a fun, really great way to do what we were doing and bring it down to a place where investors could really wrap their arms around it.
Okay, what I'm about to show you in the group at daixrp.com, where the Patreon is, or click the join button below any of my YouTube videos to join through YouTube, less than the price of a cup of coffee. I'm about to show you, look, if you've ever questioned whether you should keep holding XRP and all this stuff, just remember, we haven't had the utility bull run, and we're not going to have the utility bull run until we get legislation, not the big one. The big one's coming, and I'm going to show you what I think is going to happen with XRP, and the prices are crazier than you might even think. Well, they're not cuckoo crazy, but just I consider these to be conservative estimates. And I'm talking about 2 year. I'm talking about 2025 to 2027. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family. I am not a financial advisor, but I'm going to show you what I think. And this is why I hold and have held for a long time and will continue to hold. Here we go.